Hello ladies and gentlemen, and it's happened again. Leicester City have come from behind, 1-0 down to draw 1-0, this time away at Dean Court against Bournemouth. Let's talk about it now. So yeah, as I just said, Leicester have just finished the game against Bournemouth, 1-0 draw. Went 1-0 behind, goal from Wilson, overhead kick from the soon-to-be England striker possibly in Roy Hodgson's squad. And then another soon-to-be England striker probably, Jamie Vardy, with an 88th minute penalty equaliser. He created the penalty. We're going to talk about the game. So it started off, first 5-10 minutes, Leicester looked really comfortable in possession. The ball was being spread around nicely. We started off 4-5-1, Vardy up front, Kante, King, Drinkwater in the middle, Mahrez and Albrighton out wide, and then the usual back four of Schlupp, Morgan, Hoof, Delat and obviously Schmeichel in behind. And we started off, like I said, the first few minutes very well. We were playing the ball quite nicely, getting in quite nicely down the left-hand side for Albrighton. Mahrez wasn't really having an impact on the game though, and was giving the ball away a few times in the early few minutes. And then Bournemouth, after that, we didn't really create a chance, and Bournemouth started to grow into the game, and we're picking the ball up. And I mean, it's been talked about massively, but when they come up, they were a really good passing side in the Championship, and that was really on show today. They played the ball around lovely. After kind of the 10th minute, when we started to look really out of the game, started to look a bit tired, and our pressing wasn't up there. And I think personally that was down to our formation. Now, I'm not going to blame Ranieri or anything for formation, because he didn't know it when he played it, but I do think that there's a lot of managers now who are too scared to change something too early because it's not working. I mean, it was quite clear after 20-25 minutes that the 4-5-1 wasn't going to work, and we needed a striker for a support for Vardy, because every time the ball was getting kind of on our edge of the area, when it was cleared, it was either hoofed long and Vardy was nowhere near it, and if he was near it, when he got it, there was no one around him. So it was a very tough job for Jamie today. But like I said, Bournemouth came into the game really nicely, controlling the ball. We looked sloppy in this 4-5-1. Everyone kind of was out of position. Delat was getting dragged and suckered in. Mahrez wasn't tracking back. The ball was getting played down the left wing to Daniels, who was just cutting in behind. Charlie Daniels, the left back, was cutting in behind, progressively getting more dangerous and more dangerous. Eventually, 24 minutes in, ball gets played in lovely behind to Daniels, crosses it in. Bit of danger in the box, kind of hits the back of Morgan's head, loops up in the air, and Wilson, like I said, an acrobatic overhead kick, top corner, 1-0 Bournemouth, and it was no more than they deserved at that time. They really deserved to be 1-0 up. We hadn't played well since kind of the 8th minute in the game. We started to look ropey. They were dominating, they had a lot of possession, keeping the ball, and they got the breakthrough. Wilson, it was a really, really brilliant finish. I mean, overhead kick into top corner is never easy, and even though it wasn't far out, it was still a really, really great finish. And he did, apart from that though, I mean, he didn't really make an impact on the game, but his finishing does look quality. I mean, his finish against West Ham, the first one last week was brilliant, and this one was brilliant as well. So that could be maybe playing on Roy Hodgson's mind now, coming into this England call-up. I don't think he's going to get his chance, but you never know. Anyway, after that, Bournemouth were really, really pressing home their advantage. They started to knock the ball around even better, really. Gradle was threatening him behind. Delat just couldn't keep a hold of him and was pulling on his shirt and dragging him down. Drinkwater in the middle especially had a really poor game today. King made no real impact, but Drinkwater made an impact negatively. He was giving away fouls and losing the ball in the middle. And not just that, but our king and our magician, Riyad Mahrez, had his worst game in a Leicester shirt for a long, long time. He was giving the ball away, looked sloppy, looked lazy, and we're calling for him to get hooked at half-time. He did get hooked at half-time. Okazaki came on for him. And then, like I said, the first half, Bournemouth didn't really create any clear-cut chances. I mean, I don't remember Schmeichel making a save in the first half. Obviously, they scored, so we didn't make a save. But I don't remember him making a save in the first half, really. Went off at half-time, 1-0 down. Like I said, needed changes. Okazaki came on. And I was hoping Inler would come on, because Drinkwater really didn't have a composure on the game. We looked really fast in our passing, unlike we have in the first few games. We looked kind of trying to spread the ball too fast or hoof it too long, and it wasn't really working. But then Kante went out wide left, Albrighton went wide right, obviously Mahrez was taken off, really poor first half, Vardy and Okazaki up front, and just from the start it looked so much more comfortable. The players looked more comfortable in the formation, and it really showed. I mean, Vardy and Okazaki, one of them could push at a defender, and the other one could sit off, which in the first half obviously it was only Vardy up there, so we had to push or do nothing. So yeah, we started to grow into the game a bit more, but the game was kind of treading water until about the 70th minute, because there were a few big injuries. First off, well, Daniels went off in the first half for Mings, which I forgot to mention, and then Mings in the second half, kind of a 50-50 with Drinkwater. He goes down, kind of stood on his left leg, I think it was, and just twisted it on impact. He went off, about 5-10 minutes he was down, and then a few minutes later Gradle goes down, 5 minutes he was down as well, so it ended up we got 8 minutes of added time at the end, which I still think there should have been more of. But anyway, he went down, there was kind of nothing really happened, and before you know it was the 68th minute and you'd only seen kind of 5 minutes of football. But Leicester really started getting the foot down on the ball, and our main outset was down that left-hand side, Kante and Schlupp, and Schlupp was brilliant. His pace, his incisive pace more than anything, was brilliant. He got behind defenders and started crossing balls in. I mean, a lot of them didn't make a Leicester head or a Leicester foot, but he was crossing them in and whipping them in, and Kante started to look like he was controlling the midfield. Even if he does lose the ball about Kante, what I love is his kind of terrier instinct to get it back and win the ball back at the first opportunity, and he won it, I'd say 98% of the time when he lost it. Anyway, a few minutes later, Albrighton went off, had a really poor game in my opinion, didn't play as well as we expect from him. Dodu comes on, making his debut. I'm still thinking Inler should come on at this point for Drinkwater, who's giving away fouls left, right and centre. I'm thinking, come on, we can push on now. But Dodu comes on, Schlupp does get down the left-hand side once, plays in Okazaki. Okazaki does a lovely little roulette turn, passes it out wide to Vardy. Vardy in the area, slashes it across goal. Not really sure he was aiming for anyone. Found his way to Dodu on the back post. After a hat-trick, you're thinking high and confident, swipes at it with his left foot, misses the ball completely, air shot, and you're swearing at the TV, swearing at whatever you're watching it. You're thinking, oh, there's a chance gone. Ball crossed in, 78th minute it was about, and then nothing comes from it. But we were really pushing them on the back foot, and I think Bournemouth were getting nervous. This is their first 3 points that they had on offer at home this season. Their first 3 points ever at home in a top flight season, and I think they were feeling the pressure, and they were sitting back and inviting pressure from us, and we were really piling on the pressure. We had a few good chances, and then eventually, 88th minute, the ball was lost in the middle. Kante wins it back, plays in Schlupp, who finds Vardy down the line. Vardy then runs a lovely mazy run, jinks in, jinks out, lovely little one-touch kind of control in the box to flick it ahead of him. Bournemouth man comes flying in, takes Vardy out in the box, penalty, 88th minute. Thank God for that. Saviour. Vardy steps up, lashes it to the left of Boruc. Boruc does get a hand on it, but can only kind of tip it in, but is the ferocity on the shot. Vardy celebrates in front of the travelling fans, and all looks rosy. And then from 10 minutes before, praying for 10 minutes added time, you're thinking, oh, I'll take the draw now. Can we just have no added time? But 8 minutes added time were put on the clock. The 8 minutes kind of went by. Both teams were happy with a draw at that point. There was a penalty claim for us though in about the 94th minute. Vardy, the ball's crossed in by Schlupp again, who was unbelievably good in the game. He crosses it in. Dodu's taken out by Boruc, just punching the ball away. Finds his way to kind of on the edge of the area. Vardy's running across the area like that, and I can't remember which Bournemouth player it was, runs in and catches Vardy. It looks like a 50-50 at first, but catches Vardy in the box. And I think the ref doesn't give it because Vardy's going away from goal, but it was definitely a foul in the area. And then the 98th minute, right at the end, all you're doing is referee to blow his whistle. Ball goes out of play stupidly from us. Ben Lawani, 30 seconds earlier, trying to keep the ball in the corner. He hoofs it behind the goal, lets them on the attack, stupid. And then he makes kind of a lunge in on Wilson in the box. Wilson goes down. The whole of the Bournemouth fans appeal for a penalty. You hold your breath as a Leicester fan, thinking, no, surely not. Ref doesn't give it. Ball goes about 50 metres ahead as a hoof from someone, and the whistle goes. And we escape with a point. I mean, I say escape because we were so poor in the first half, but we were lucky to be 1-0 up at half-time. But in the second half, Bournemouth created nothing at all. I mean, it was a game of very few opportunities. A lot of people expected it to be a high-scoring draw or win for one side, but it wasn't at all. It was a game of many limited opportunities. I don't remember any of the keepers actually making a clear save. The only kind of times that they got close to a ball was when one of the teams scored. But 1-1, I think, was a fair reflection on the game and the general ebb and flow of the game. I would have been annoyed if we'd have lost the game purely on the second half performance, but I would have understood it from the first half, and I think Bournemouth would have been unbelievably upset if they had lost a game from a position they were in. With player ratings then, I'm going to give Schmeichel a 6. He did nothing wrong. He didn't really have a lot to do in the game, and he couldn't have saved the overhead kick. I would say one thing is, when we were 1-0 down, he was a bit slow getting rid of possession, which I wasn't really happy about, but a 6 for him. Delat a 5. He had a really uncomfortable game at right back, was getting done by Gradle in the first half massively until he went off injured. So 5 for Delat. Both centre halves, I'm going to give a 5 to Hoof. I thought Hoof was a bit ropey and gave away too many fouls when players have a back to goal. And Morgan, I'm going to give a 6 because Morgan, I thought, played really solidly. Schlupp, I'm going to give a 7 to. Schlupp was our best player and was really, really good going forward. Looked a bit poor letting players in behind him defensively, but did enough going forward to merit a 7, maybe even an 8 from some people. And then Albrighton and Mahrez, both 5s. Mahrez actually a 4. Were so below the par of the level we expect for them. In the middle of the park, I'm going to give Drinkwater a 5. I thought Drinkwater had a poor game, especially compared to what he's been like so far this season. He was dragging players down, giving the ball away far too easily. King, 5, just for making no impact on the game. Kante, I'm going to give 6.5. I might even give a 7. No, I'm going to give a 7 to Kante because he won the ball back numerous amount of times and he looks so dangerous going forward. He really is a real asset for us. He's fast and he can run at defenders, kind of like, I mean, Vardy and Schlupp can do, but he's also can win the ball back and he's a terrier in that middle of a park like we've got up front with Vardy and Okazaki. And it's great for us and for him to have a player in there who can manoeuvre the ball as well as win it back. So up front, man, Vardy, I can't really give him more than a 6. I'd like to give him a 7, obviously, because he scored, but he made no real impact until the goal. But that was brilliant. It was a brilliant run to win the penalty and then obviously to put the penalty away. Coming off the bench then, I'm going to give Ben Lawani no rating because he wasn't on long enough, despite being kind of poor when he came on. It's not long enough to give him a rating. Apart from that, I'm going to give Dodu a 5. Didn't make a single impact on the game, an air shot when it mattered. And then Okazaki, I'm going to give it a 5 to because he did help the way we played when he came on, but he didn't actually have much impact. And there were a few times that his touch really let him down, so I'm going to give a 5 to him. But overall, you know, we get the point. We stay unbeaten going into the international break, and we'd have all taken that if you'd have offered it to us at the start of the season. So we can't be too downhearted. We can't be too upset or anything. It's a point, despite it's against Bournemouth. Bournemouth will be an alright team this season, and a point is a very, very good result. That's all then. Please like the video, leave your comments below, let me know what you thought about the game, and subscribe to me. I'll see you in the next one.